let's just be real for a second. Sometimes life, and yeah, the people in it, can feel like a storm you just can't escape. You're being tossed around, you feel completely overwhelmed, and you're just trying to keep your head above water. It is absolutely exhausting. But what if you could build something inside of yourself that was, well, fundamentally unsinkable? A mindset so resilient that it could weather any storm that comes your way. That's the big question we're going to tackle right now. All right, let's dive right in. We're going to unpack a really ancient blueprint for a very, very modern problem: how to overcome toxicity. We're going to explore how to build that unsinkable mind piece by piece. So the whole idea we're working with here is this concept of a spiritual ark. You know, just like Noah's Ark was built with very specific dimensions to survive a world-changing flood, this framework uses spiritual virtues to build a mind that can withstand the flood of toxic behavior we all face.
But, before we can even start building our defense, we have to understand what we're up against. What is this storm? What exactly is this flood of toxicity we're talking about?
This image just captures the whole conflict perfectly, doesn't it? On one side, you have the flood, this relentless tide of toxic behaviors. And on the other, you have the ark, our defense, a mindset built on specific virtues designed to float right through it. It's really a battle between these destructive forces and our protective principles. So what makes up this flood? Well, it often comes down to these three psychological traits, what's known as the dark triad. You've got narcissism, with its grandiosity and tendency to exploit others. Then there's Machiavellianism, which is all about cold, calculated, strategic manipulation. And finally, psychopathy, which is marked by a truly chilling lack of empathy or remorse. Put them together, and you have the perfect storm for relational toxicity. Okay, so how do we start building? Well, every single strong structure has to start with a solid foundation. And for our spiritual ark, that foundation is faith. You see, the biblical blueprint connects faith directly to the act of building. It wasn't just about believing something in his head. It was about taking action based on that belief, even when the entire world probably thought he was completely nuts. Faith is an action verb. And this is where the blueprint gets super practical. Faith is described as the 300-cubit length of the ark. A cubit is just an ancient measurement, about the length of your forearm. Think about that. This massive, long foundation is what anchors your identity, what makes you stable against all those deceptive narratives and all that gaslighting. It literally seals out the lies. All right, so with that solid foundation in place, we're going to need an anchor to keep us steady when those waves start crashing in. And that anchor is hope. This verse really gets to the heart of what hope is. It's not just wishful thinking, right? It's a deep-seated trust that even when you're in the middle of total chaos, there's a bigger purpose at work. It's the conviction that this storm does not get the final say. Now, the blueprint says hope gives your ark its 50-cubit width. And this is so important. This spiritual width acts like a shock absorber. It gives you the emotional stability you need to take a direct hit from a wave of negativity or betrayal and not capsize. So, we've got the foundation and the anchor. Now we need the highest point of the ark, the one part that gives us perspective and lets in the light, the window. And this represents charity, or, love in action. Let's face it, toxicity thrives on fear. Fear of abandonment, fear of conflict, fear of being devalued. This verse positions love, or charity, as the direct antidote. Perfect love doesn't just help you manage your fear, it actually casts it out completely. And this is just such a powerful mental image. God told Noah to put the only window at the very top of the ark, so he couldn't look out at all the chaos and destruction floating by. He could only look up. Charity does the exact same thing for our minds. It pulls our focus up, above all the messy, ugly debris of toxic interactions. Okay, so we've built the ark. We have the blueprint. Now, how do we actually navigate the treacherous waters of daily life with difficult people? Let's get into some really practical tools. This is an incredibly effective technique for just disengaging. You know those circular arguments that go nowhere? Toxic people thrive on them because they keep you on the defensive. The Jade response cuts that off at the knees. You just stop. You refuse to justify, argue, defend, or explain. Your silence becomes your superpower. Here's a really simple diagnostic tool. It's called the rotten fruit test. Just stop focusing on what people say or promise and look at the actual results, the output. Does this relationship consistently produce peace and joy and growth, or does it consistently produce confusion, anxiety, and drama? The fruit doesn't lie. Now, this is fascinating. The ark's dimensions, 300 cubits long by 50 cubits wide, give it a 6-to-1 ratio. And get this, modern naval architects have confirmed that this exact ratio provides optimal stability. It makes a ship incredibly difficult to capsize. It's like this ancient blueprint held this deep, practical wisdom for staying balanced in a storm all along.
So, as we wrap this up, the real question isn't for me, it's for you. Looking at your own life, which part of your arc needs a little work today? Is it your foundation of faith to protect you from deception? Is it your anchor of hope to help you absorb those emotional hits? Or maybe it's your window of charity to help you lift your gaze higher. Which part of your unsinkable mind will you strengthen today?